Om Shri Ganeshaya Namo Namah. Greetings to everyone world over. Green morning, green afternoon, green evening to all our brothers and sisters across the globe. It's indeed a great pleasure. Sunday evening, India, Sunday morning, America, Canada, Latin America, Sunday afternoon, European Union, and of course, other countries world over, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, and all other continents. Let Australia and New Zealand, let them go to sleep. It's the middle of night. So we are once again privileged to have Dr. PRIYA VISWESWARAN ma'am with us. And topic is something very, very relevant. We all are looking forward to nowadays. Of course, she had been talking about earlier that we require neuro coach, we require cellular health coach, we require wellness coach, and we require caretakers and everybody world over, because as the population is aging. And our chamber also had been working very closely with ma'am to work in the direction to develop the modules and the areas where basically the B.Ed, the children, those have done their education, Bachelor of Education in India, they should be strategically channelized world over. They should move and they should take up some responsibility. And there the idea emerged. Health, wellness, caretaking, education vertical, all that when we take, it means every teacher got to be now multitasking. You got to be counselor also, you got to be mentor also, you got to be coach also, you got to be teacher also, you got to be administrator also. And at the same time, even if you can give, kind of a wellness, therapy or wellness, happiness, that kind of a thing, where the person, those are quite aged, particularly certain countries, people are very, very old. So those countries, they need care. So why not we should think about building up a brigade and a kind of a community where there's a multitasking teachers, instead of just basically taking care of academics, hardcore academics, subject specific only, and they are not in a position to take other situations which post-pandemic the life demands. Let's look into it deeper. Let's work on to that. And with these words, let's move to today's International Day of Non-Violence as well, 2nd of October, Mahatma Gandhi's birthday. And we pay our homage, respect, salutations. Also today's birthday of late India's Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. Today is his Jayanti also, and we all pay our respects and regards to this late departed soul, great soul, very pious soul, wonderful soul, and who did a lot, because Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. I come from the uniform, so I have got a special love and respect for him. And I would like to share with the global audience and also with today's distinguished speaker. Let me share a small story and a very interesting story right over here before we proceed. There was a 1965 war, India and Pakistan, and of course, India won that war. And thereafter, we had a couple of other challenges, some sanctions were there, a couple of other things were there. India was facing a lot of difficulty in the food grains. And thereafter, the late Lal Bahadur Shastri ji took some strong decisions. And once he took those decisions, thereafter, there was an outcome, repercussions, all that which was there. So I still recall that 1965, the war had got over, and there was a movie which got released in Delhi and of course across India, and that was Shaheed. Manoj Kumar ji was performing the role in that particular movie of Shaheed Bhagat Singh. And I still recall, I want to share certain facts with the global audience, which we may not be knowing. Number one, before getting into the performance and that role of Shaheed Bhagat Singh, Manoj Kumar ji had gone and met Shaheed Bhagat Singh ji's mother, met her, discussed a couple of things, took certain inputs from her. How was he, and how was the conduct, behavior, and a couple of things, he took the inputs and he performed so well in Shahid movie. So Lal Bahadur Shastri ji was kind enough. He gave 15 minutes time to see movie Shahid because it was in the national spirit, it was the national concern, and that time we had just finished with the war. So he had gone for the premiere, and once he saw the movie for 15 minutes, thereafter he didn't want to leave the theater, and he told, cancel all other appointments, I'll see the entire movie. I learned Manoj Kumarji rushed out of theater. He went upstairs. That time there used to be a old kind of a box, kind of a, where the films were rolled on wheels and the movie used to run. He went to the operator upstairs from the projector room and he told him, kindly don't have interval today. Let the movie go on till end because the Honorable Prime Minister wants to see it. So the movie ran, and movie was, played for the late Prime Minister of India. And when the movie got over, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji called Manoj Kumarji, the hero of that movie, and he told Manoj, you have performed very well. I'm proud of you. Do one thing, with your team tomorrow morning, come to Prime Minister's house and let's have a breakfast with me. Next morning, Manoj Kumarji, with his entire team, he went over there, he touched Lal Bahadur Shastri ji's feet and he gave him the blessings. He says, Manoj, I'm very happy with your performance, with your role in this movie, Shahid. I have taken one pledge and I have got one slogan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Why don't you make a movie where you project Jawan also, you project Kisan also, and that should be patriotic also. He said, certainly, sir. He took the breakfast, he touched his feet like Indian norm and culture, and thereafter he left for Mumbai. From Delhi, when he took train, he told two of his, colleagues, go and get me 2 registers and 5-6 ballpoint pens. I wish to make optimum use of my journey from Delhi to Mumbai, and I'll be scribbling some story. So the journey started, the train started from Delhi, and he started moving in that. And as the train was moving and he was looking outside window and he was seeing those fields, that greenery, all those green patches, and slowly and gradually he started moving with the story and the screenplay. And by the time he reached Mumbai, the story was ready, and that was the birth of a movie called Upkar. 1967, that movie was released. Of course, it was sad that late Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji was not there at that point of time. We had lost him. But that movie was such a grand hit that 1967, it made maximum profit. It ran for total 1 year in theaters. The best actor, the best director, the best producer, the best screenplay, the best singer, the best lyricist, the best music, all awards had gone to Upkar movie. Today also, when I listen those songs, कसमें वादे प्यार वफा सब बातें हैं बातों का क्या, कोई किसी का नहीं है नाते, झूठे हैं ये नाते नातों का क्या. And then when you talk about patriotic feelings, मेरे देश की धरती सोना उगले, उगले हीरे मोती, मेरे देश की धरती, मेरे देश की धरती. What a beautiful movie, and such a beautiful picturization of the armed forces also, and farmer also, and the combination beautiful blend also. And one more very important thing I wish to share with all of you, that a great veteran performer, Pran Sikand. Pran, he used to come as a villain before that. This was a turning point in his life, that he gave the character role and he became a person with one leg in that movie who used to move on the crutches, and he gave such a wonderful performance. Thereafter, he got into the character roles and he made lots of other grand hits in India. So, ladies and gentlemen, patriotic feelings. From that day, Manoj Kumarji's name was Bharat Kumar. Thereafter, he made Pura Paschim, he made
Wow.
Roti Kapda Aur Makan, he made Kranti, he made many other movies. But what I'm telling is that wherever we are, teachers, you all are actors, you all are performers. The classroom is a stage. The student, those are sitting in front of you, are your audience. How you talk, how you walk, how you dress up, how you perform, how well you are with your subject, that all decides whether your movie is going to be flop or your movie is going to be grand hit, whether children are going to enjoy your class, they're going to be passionate about you, and they will have all praises for you, or they would say, oh my God, when this class will get over. It's up to you how you perform. So
Yeah.
that is the way we all got to see. Let's move ahead. International Chamber for Service Industry extends a very warm welcome to all of you. We have just completed a series. We started on 10th of September and 27th September we have finished. 17 long days. We have done a beautiful marathon of all kind of tourism, where we had done agri-tourism, farm tourism, rural tourism, film tourism, cinematic tourism, eco-tourism, nature tourism, adventure tourism, culture tourism, heritage tourism, and we had done MICE tourism, conferences, convention, trade fair, exhibition, travel, journalism, and public relation in, basically tourism. And then how the services exports from India in the form of tourism, and then spiritual tourism, and that is Buddhist way. We had taken all that, then community tourism. So it was a wonderful journey. I'm so very happy. As a follow-up of that, we are coming out from the chamber book, Rethinking Tourism. It's going to be beneficial to vocational education. It's going to be beneficial to schools, because you have got vocational education in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. We are also going to have it in colleges and universities. In India today, 1,025 colleges and universities, they offer travel and tourism programs. And at the same time, our chamber has brought very important ingredients in this particular book, that's on capacity building of tourism teachers, vocational teachers. So World Tourism Day we celebrated on 27th September. This book we propose to launch on 5th of October, which is going to be the World Teachers Day. Now, rethinking tourism, when we talk about, these are the chapters what we are covering over here. You can see in your own time. Now, World Teachers Day, which is being celebrated every year by United Nations on 5th of October. The theme this year is Teachers at the Heart of Education Recovery. So we salute all the teachers. We convey our regards to all the teachers. And we very strongly believe whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Let's come together. Let's make education and skill relevant. And our educators, you have got a great responsibility to perform. So join me in extending a very warm welcome this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. Global multitasking teachers, deliberations, discussions, and today is the second last Navratra in India. Tomorrow morning is Ashtami, and we extend a very warm welcome to Dr. PRIYA Visweswaran ma'am, all the way from United States, from Texas. It's a pleasure to have ma'am with us. Vanakkam ma'am. Great
Vanakkam, sir.
celebrations to your father also. Great
Thank you
soul,
so much.
great person, such a wonderful human being. It was a great learning from him for
Thank you,
all
sir.
of us.
Thank
With
you so
these
much.
words, ma'am, I give the platform to you. Now the global audience are yours, vision
Thank
of
you.
yours, and we are interested how Indian teachers can go abroad on multitasking. It should not be one subject specific academics. Rather, they should be for multitasking. Kindly just take on the floor. Hearty welcome and pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you for sharing such wonderful, wonderful information about India's great history, about Sri Bhagat Singh and about Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, in addition to honoring the father of our nation, Sri Mahatma Gandhi ji, on his birthday, his birth anniversary. And thank you so much for sharing the Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, which is our family's motto. My mother every day and every night prays for the Jawans of India and the Kisans of India. She says these are the greatest people. My father says the Kisan in India is the farmer of India is the most genius person on the planet, because the vagaries of the weather, the issues with the land, the getting the non-GMO seeds, when all these multinational corporations are trying to hijack even the seed, and they're trying to make the seed into a particular country's kind of seed or particular gene kind of seed. And our farmers are there, brave warriors fighting for the pureness and the purity and the pristine quality of our food, so that future generations of humanity will be able to grow without the manipulation by man, which is always inferior to the original created by God. And so thank you so much for highlighting Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, the soldier of India, a lot of times without access to a lot of things that they need. They are there fighting for us bravely. Siachen Glacier. I know Dr. Biswajit Kaur here is a cardiologist in Houston, graduate of Armed Forces Medical College, and for 2 years was stationed on Siachen Glacier as the medical doctor for soldiers. And then migrated to the US, is now living here in Houston, is one of the world famous cardiologists. He runs the transplant cardiac clinic at the University of Texas Medical School at Houston. He's the director of the transplant cardiology clinic, and very, very bright and highly regarded person, and an unbelievably good doctor as well. So we salute the soldiers and the farmers of India, and please know how much we adore, respect, and revere you. And sir, my salutations to you for having served Mother India, not only as a soldier, but as a teacher, as an educator, and now bringing education across cultural, national, ethnic, regional borders globally to our Indian precious national resource, our national treasure, our teachers. Thank you very much. Now I'll begin my presentation with a very brief, so I just want to give an overview of kind of the teaching profession, because a lot of times our own teachers are not aware of all of their skills, their attributes, and so on and so forth. A lot of this information is taken out of other people's websites like educationcorner.com or onetonline.com. Of course, the US Department of Labor Statistics, Bureau of Labor Statistics, there is an incredible wealth of information available online. And so all I'm trying to suggest here is what actually is the role of a teacher. I mean, what are all the things that a teacher does, or that a teacher is even required to do, and how these different job requirements and demands actually prepare a teacher to be the ideal person to do multitasking. And the reason for this is because the skill sets of teachers have grown. I mean, the foundational skill set for teachers was always a great foundation. As we've discussed this before, teachers have to be content with not seeing the results of their hard work and not being rewarded for the hard work immediately. A lot of times the seed that is planted, you can call teachers the most patient farmers on the planet, because a lot of times the seed of the education that is planted, by the time it becomes a tree and is starting to yield fruit, the teacher, it may be 30 years after the teacher taught that student. So how does a teacher know if they have one such student in a lifetime of teaching? Even if they don't have one such student that returns and tells them this has happened, that teacher has made an impact. On this occasion, I want to salute my high school biology teacher, Srimati Gomati Krishnamachari, again and again and again. I touch her feet and I bow to her in reverent prayer. In fact, I will call her on Saraswati Puja date this year, and I want to tell her everything that her teaching me in high school, how much it has impacted so many different things, and how grateful I am most importantly to her contribution and to her active and energetic involvement in cultivating my interest in the field. So with that, I just want to talk really about teachers as multitaskers. I want to talk a little bit about the teacher situation in the United States. Is a very dire situation with a great need for teachers. Along the way, I will talk about all the skill sets they're expecting, the technologies that the teachers should know, and so on and so forth. If this helps you to train and to sort of expand your portfolio of skills, like, you know, how Rama and other great warriors, they had a quiver full of arrows of different shapes. The arrowheads had different shapes. They had different functions, these arrows. One arrow could fly zigzag and go and hit. The other arrow would go jump and hop and hit. The other one would set fire or would be lit on fire as it would go. The other one would cause rain when it landed on the other side, or whatever it was. So like that, a teacher must employ a quiver filled with arrows that can do all kinds of different things. You're already doing it as teachers. You're already doing it as teachers. Here it is our job to highlight to you how much you're doing and what all you're doing, and how that can be purposed in different areas. I will also briefly go over the need for the demand for elder care in the US. But there are so many jobs that a teacher can do other than teaching, or in addition to teaching, because of the teaching job skill sets. And so this is the purpose of today's talk, is just to share with you how many different avenues there are that are open for teachers to, not only if they want to supplement their income, if they want to increase and improve their knowledge of the world, not just restricted to the classroom, but if they want to bring a lot more varied experiences of their life into the classroom, they can do this in so many different ways. These jobs are part-time, they can be online, they can be in person, they can be evening jobs, they can be night jobs, they can be weekend jobs, they can be summer jobs. Whenever the teacher has additional time, the teacher can do these jobs in addition to the teaching jobs. And there are countless websites that give jobs, but I wanted to share with you at least 3 different teachers that I have met in the last year, who have moved on from teaching after having been extraordinarily good teachers, exceptional teachers. Suddenly a whole new world opens up to them in the corporate world. And I want to share their journeys with you, and how they're doing and how well they're doing. So, and why that is the case. There is another entire area, Gulshanji, which we have not even touched, which is adult learning, adult education.
Okay.
There is a gigantic need and demand for global adult education. Now,
Wow.
teachers do not realize that students are not, learning never ends, as we all know. And when students graduate from school or high school, we think, okay, now they're adults, they're going to be able to navigate their life and money. But do we teach our children how to navigate, number one, their own health? Do we teach our children, number two, how to navigate their own happiness, understanding of inner happiness and how to get it? Do we teach our children how to navigate relationships, especially the vital ones that we need to in order to maintain and succeed in life? Do we teach our children how to manage money? None of these important life skills are actually taught in school. And therefore, you have adults who are floundering in life. They're floundering in society. They're floundering in their personal lives and their family lives. And so the demand for adult education, whether it's personal development so that you can plug the holes in these 4 major areas in life, or even if it is skill acquisition, the demand for adult education is the silent, unseen, hidden part of this iceberg of education that we're talking about. And so today I may not have time to get into that whole thing, but perhaps if Dr. Gulshan Sharmaji will be so kind to give me another Sunday, then I would like to get into in-depth of the elder care requirements, not only in the US, but in other countries as well, and other aging countries such as Japan, US, and many countries in Europe. And also, I would like to talk about adult education as a topic. And adult education has certain different requirements and different constraints, different need. And here in the US, they've become exceptionally good at adult education. The whole literature on educating an adult to become more productive in the workplace and for personal development has exploded here in the US. So it is still not enough to meet the global demand. That is the point. It is a drop in the ocean. So Indian teachers have to be the ones who have to step into this vacuum that that will bridge the gap between what we're giving our students and our young ones as they're graduating from school and what they're needing to succeed in life and function as high achieving, very successful adults in corporate jobs or whatever the case may be. So without further ado, let us start with this current slide. I just want to hide these. So, oh, dear me, I didn't want all this fancy stuff. Excuse me. Oh, all right. Let us just. Oh, it is still doing this. Okay, never mind. We will just go the slide by slide. Okay. So, if you are a teacher, what do you do? Do you teach students how to learn not only the subject but how to learn in general? Option B, do you know how to quickly learn yourself all kinds of different things and then know how to teach it to students? Okay, option C, do you teach students to manage themselves really well first by structuring the curriculum and the tests really well? So you show them, okay, small chapter, quick test. Larger chapter, you break it down, give a test in the middle, test at the end, or whatever, big test at the end. How are you doing this? You're teaching them how to manage themselves, their learning, their work, their homework. So are you doing that? I don't have a live audience, but I'm guessing that the answers to these questions, most of you are saying yes to these questions. So D, do you inspire students to reach for the stars? Even if it is an unstructured way, that is, may not be in the curriculum, but it may be unstructured. And every lesson, maybe you have 5 minutes dedicated to inspiring the student about what learning this chapter or this topic can help them with understanding about the stars or shooting for the stars, or as they call it, moonshot, you know. Then the moonshot is a big word in America because when President John F. Kennedy said, he announced 10 years, well, actually 9 to 10 years before man landed on the moon, that we will put a man on the moon. That was one of his promises he made to the American people. Unfortunately, he was shot dead before he could ever see it. So I think it was 60 or 61 that he announced it. 63, I think he was killed, and 69 man landed on the moon. So that's called a moonshot. You know, when you announce something unbelievable, crazy that people don't think is possible, and then boom, you awaken a whole country to work around it. You know, India has seen it now a lot with so many things, and with the Mars probe and with moon and moon satellite. There are so many things that have happened in recent times in India. So you know this, that's what they call the moonshot. And are you giving a little bit of the moonshot in each of your classes to the students so that they are hooked, they're engaged, they're young minds, eager, they're wanting to learn, they're wanting to absorb everything and then go out and just, you know, show the fire, right? They're on fire. Are you setting their minds on fire? Okay. Are you listening to students, helping them get along, work collaboratively rather than competitively? Are you giving them what they want to learn? Do you know what they want to learn, right? And then our favorite is, as a teacher, I am sure you're doing all of the above and more. I'm sure you're doing all of the above and more. It is not possible to be a teacher in today's world without doing all of these things and more. Yes. So you may not have had teachers who do all these things, but you as a teacher, I'm sure you're doing all of these things and more. Yes. So teachers, their work values are relationships, right? They work with their co-workers in a friendly, non-competitive environment. This non-competitive environment is being stressed again and again and again in American and global education. And this is a concept that first was proposed by somebody like J. Krishnamurti, whose school I had the privilege of attending. So when we put competition into the hearts and minds of our students, then we are actually making them very narrow minded and narrow visioned. I know it might seem like blasphemy to say this. Not everybody can get into an IIT, that kind of competition, or into medical college. But does that mean the people who don't get in are any less as human beings? Quite the contrary. Some of the greatest people I've met are not medical college students or doctors or IIT graduates. In fact, they are people who did not go to these colleges, and vice versa too. I don't want to say that, but you know what I mean. So, and so, you know, it's really about service and about values and about collaboratively working together and forming good, strong relationships. And then there is achievement. It is not without achievement. You want the student to get that feeling of accomplishment, right? To use all their skills, all their abilities, all of the commitment that they have to becoming the best version of themselves. You want to motivate each student to pull out the best version of themselves and to stay in that energy band frequency of the highest and best version of themselves, right? And then what they can achieve with that is the greatest thing they can achieve with their lives, right? And then the teachers also, this is their work values. They appreciate activity compensation that is commensurate to their effort, independence, security, and then they like variety and different working conditions, exposure to that, right? So let's talk a little bit about the US Government Bureau of Labor Statistics of 2021, okay? The median pay for a high school teacher. Now, high school teachers teach mathematics, science, and they teach languages, and they teach art, not so much art, but languages, mathematics, and science. So 61,800 per year. Again, here in the US, states like New York actually pay $87,000 to $97,000 per teacher per year. Even states like Alaska, there are many states that pay significantly more than this. But there are states in the US like Mississippi that pay significantly less, between $38,000 and $47,000 a year. That's why the average is coming out to this. The entry level education requirement is bachelor's degree. And then the number of jobs in 2021, just for the high school teachers, is 1 million jobs. Okay. And the growth is 5%. Here they said the employment change is 48,700. But actually, other sources are telling us that 77,900 openings for high school teachers are projected each year over the decade. That means another million teachers is going to be required. Most of these are from replacing workers. So when the pandemic happened, between 50 and 75% of US teachers who are senior, who have worked for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, they started to retire. They didn't want to stay in a job that requires them to suddenly exponentially expand their skill sets, including, I will tell you some of the things that the teachers have had to do here and in other places. That includes everything from managing a sick student, making sure the other students don't get sick, learning all kinds of sanitation protocols in the classroom and enforcing them. Then when the sick student is there in school and the parent is at work, they have to manage the sickness as if they're a parent. Then they have to learn how to teach remotely. They have to deal with all the technology issues that come with that. They have to troubleshoot those technology issues, and they have to still deliver the full curriculum and motivate and entertain and educate these students. So there's an exponential growth in the demand of these teachers, and the amount of conflict they're facing is also going up exponentially. So maybe the school health authorities are not responding. Maybe the principal is not giving enough hand sanitizer. Maybe the principal cannot buy it. They don't know where to find it because it is run out. You know, like it happened in the US. A lot of personal protective equipment, hand sanitizer, all this stuff ran out at the beginning of the pandemic. And so everything is made in another country and the other country is not able to send it for whatever reason. So then you are stuck. Like then the local, whiskey manufacturers started making hand sanitizer because they have the alcohol, so that's how it went here in the US. So a lot of unbelievable things started to happen. But in that period, the excess high conflict, there is not enough alcohol for the teachers to, and now the schools get shut down. So then you're doing it from home. What if the teacher's family member gets sick? What if the students' parents die? There is so much more conflict. Then jobs are lost, money is not coming in, food is not on the table, right? So what we're talking about is an unbelievable number of teachers are retiring because they couldn't deal with this kind of stress and on the pay that they were getting. So some of the responsibilities and tasks are preparing materials and classrooms for class activities, instructing through lectures, discussions, and demonstrations, establishing clear objectives for the lessons, units, and projects, communicating them to the students, establishing and enforcing rules for behavior and procedures for maintaining order, adapting teaching methods and instructional materials to meet the various needs of the students and interests, depending on their level of interest and their level of performance, adapting the teaching methods and materials for that, maintaining accurate and complete student records as required by law, policies, and regulations, observing and evaluating their students' performance, behavior, social and physical health and development, planning and conducting activities for a balanced program of instruction, demonstration, and work time that provides students with opportunities to observe, question, and investigate. Let's say you're a science teacher, you will teach them a concept, then you will teach them an experiment that can prove this concept, then you will show them the experiment, how it is done, then you will give them groups of 2, 3, whatever, and you'll tell them, now you repeat the experiment or change it, modify it, whatever way you want to, and show me the results. And if they get it right, or if they do a little bit more than what you've shown them, you give them more points, and then you have the grading part, right? So it is an incredibly demanding profession, and there is a plethora of skill sets that you bring to the table, right? Then you confer with parents, guardians, other teachers, counselors, administrators to resolve students' behavioral and academic problems, assign grades, prepare, administer tests and assignments, prepare them for later grades by encouraging them to explore learning opportunities and persevere with challenging tasks. This is that star moonshot we're talking about. Use computers, audiovisual aids, other equipment and materials to supplement presentations, instruct and monitor students in using equipment and materials and how they will not get injured or damage the equipment. Now, this is from onetonline.com, all of these things. And if you go there, for every point that I've shown you, if you actually click on it, it will give you a list of related occupations. Already that tells you just one point, okay? Enforce all administration policies and rules governing students. If you click this, everything from elementary school counselor to university president, these are all related occupations to just this one point that is in the tasks that high school teachers have to do, right? But these are not just high school teachers. This task, all these people have to do, whether they are an elementary school teacher, elementary school principal, or a university president. They have to administer administration policies and rules governing students. So then that's why I showed you this page, and without deleting the related occupations in onetonline.com, you will see if you click this, it will give you all the occupations in which if you focus on just this, these are all the occupations that you can get into if you focus on just this part of the high school teacher job. Guide and counsel students with problems or special interests. Meet other professionals to discuss individual students' needs and progress. Here, the student is encouraged to drive their own education. So the student will say, I want to do a project like this. I have teamed up with this professor in this university. In the summer of this year, I'm going from 9th standard to 10th standard. In the summer vacation between 9th and 10th standard, I'm going to do this project. It's a 3-month project. They're going to give me their lab and their supplies, and I'm going to give them a result, and they're going to help me publish it. And I would like to have your support to criticize or critique my experiments. And in return, I would like to put your name on my paper. This is how you encourage students to flower and blossom into their full potential, right? Remedial programs is for students who require extra help, which is 2/3 of our students. It's not the majority yet. It is 2/3 of our students. Stay with them and address the exact thing that they're not, exact concept that they're not getting. If there's a more basic concept that they missed learning in middle school or in elementary school, then you go down to that level and teach them at that level, right? Remedial education. Meet with parents and guardians to discuss their children's progress and determine priorities for their children and their resource needs. Prepare objectives and outlines for courses of study following curriculum guidelines or requirements. Now, I'm teaching to the teacher here because Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji is taught extensively in the United States. So he knows all these things and more. He's taught at university level, master's and graduate course level. So Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji, please excuse me for going over these things. I feel like it was important to sort of show our teachers how many skills they have. We are not requiring you to have a PhD in conferring with other staff members to plan and schedule lessons and promote learning following approved curricula. We're not asking you to have a PhD in teaching, right? In this, even if you have a taste of this, that's enough. That already makes you, it has already opened up a sleeping cell in your brain, your sleeping neuron. And now that neuron is eager and active to grow connections and grow. So if you learn, cross learning, let's say you do something that is very, very interesting, right? Let's say you're a science teacher and you lead them through an experiment, and the experiment is about light. Let us say it's about using a prism and showing how the prism can break up white light into all the 7 colors, right? At the end of it, now you have the art teacher there, and at the end of it, the science and the art teacher say, now we want you to create a disc on which you put the 7 colors, and we want you to put a pencil in the middle, and when you rotate it, you should be able to see white light. We want you to do that. So we want you to understand that when you combine all the free, so this is a sort of a joint curriculum, right? It's science and art, but it communicates and that it impresses in the child's brain that everything is frequency, vibration, and how the different colors are part of white light. So things like that. And it could be much more than that, it could be much less than that, but you start there. Then at the next level, you're able to see much more collaborating possibilities. The point is just opening up the brain and the mind to that one possibility. Collaborating with other teachers and administrators in the development, evaluation, and revision of the school programs. Secondary school is high school. Preparing reports on students and activities as required by administration. The report card here is a paragraph on each student. It's not just a mark, right? It's not just a line. It's actually a paragraph in each subject on each student. Prepare for assigned classes, show written evidence of preparation upon request of immediate supervisors, plan the class projects, field trips, visits by guest speakers, other experiential activities, guide students in learning, attend professional meetings, educational conferences, teacher training workshops to maintain professional competence. Yes. And then all these other extracurricular, and here in the US, high school teachers also organize clubs, student organizations, and academic contests. So a student will go to a teacher and say, I want to organize a club on stock market investing. And it might be their a finance teacher. So finance, economics, and all are subjects potentially in high school. Economics is, I don't know about finance. So they may go to their economics teacher and say, I want to organize a club on stock market investing, and I would like you to be the faculty sponsor for it. So the teacher will agree. That means the teacher will attend the meetings along with that student. They may be weekly or once in 2 weeks or once a month. And the teacher will give reading material, or they may give some guidance, or they may say, hey, what about this? Or, this is what I would recommend, or, where they interact as peers rather than as teacher and student, but in a very informal and caring environment, right? So these are all things that can, providing disabled students with assistive devices, for example, supportive technology. And so this is a big thing in the US, is not treating students with weaknesses or deficiencies and function disabilities as separate or less individual. It is a job of the teacher to make those students equal to or as good as a child that does not have disability, right? So all of these tasks, there are so many. Tech skills, right? Microsoft Word, cloud-based data and sharing software like SharePoint or Google, Microsoft Office. So all of the Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, and depending on the job, at least 9 other softwares there are. Then occupational requirements. If you look at this, they need to be able to organize, plan, and prioritize their work. They need to. So does this sound like like what a CEO would do? A chief executive officer of a company? Develop specific goals, plan to prioritize, organize, and accomplish your work. Execution, right? This is exactly what a chief executive officer of a company would do. Can a teacher become a CEO? Yes. Yes. That can be the next step. for a teacher. 7 to 8 or 9 or 10 years, each year becoming the best teacher that you can be, earning more student respect, earning more, doing more for more students, becoming the most unusual, the best teacher, and the teacher that gets the best results in those students. And then 7, 8 years of that, boom, next year a CEO of a company. Why am I sharing this with you? Because I need you to know there are many ways to get to the peak of Mount Everest. It's not just one way. One way may be the quick way. It may be one way, maybe the easy way. But there are infinite number of ways to get to that peak. It doesn't have to be the quick way or the easy way, you know? So the skill sets that you acquire, and the more you expand your skill sets as a teacher, the more you expand as a teacher, the more likely you are able to get into other jobs and simultaneously do other jobs, or do other jobs better than anybody else who would do that job. And like I said, I will share with you 3 examples of 3 teachers that I've met in the last year that have very successfully transitioned out of the teaching profession into other professions. I'm not here to encourage you to leave the teaching profession. I'm here to tell you that the pond of jobs that is available to a teacher is infinite. You can choose to teach and be a assisted care worker for an elderly person. It doesn't even have to be in person. If you can do it in person, that's great. You have no idea how much people will be willing to pay for this, and how deeply grateful they will be to you here in the US, because elder care requirement is just exponential. All of the almost the entire population is 50 or more. So much of the population is 50 or more, and all aging people need help. So you can be a teacher and an elder care worker at the same time, and you can do part-time this, part-time that, or you do both, and then 7 years from now, suddenly, boom, you have your own elder care company and you're the CEO of your company. And because you're a teacher, you can train the workers. And because you've been an elder care worker, you know what the problems are, you can anticipate them, and you can show the growth. And then you put an IPO. I mean, what I'm trying to tell you is the teacher is not the last job. It is the best job. It is the best job. You're a treasure, Indian national treasure. So don't ever think of that in any way other than that way. Teachers are needed to think creatively. They have to develop, design, and create new applications, new ideas, new relationships, systems, and products, including artistic contributions. What other job requires this? Like a chief product officer, right? Product design person, right? Or product user interface person, right? So many jobs can have this part. Even if you're slightly exposed to it, even if you have a taste of it as a teacher, even if you've invited one other teacher to the class or created one combined lesson with that teacher, and then come up with one little gadget at the end of it, like that, Vibgyor disc with a pencil in the center, one product, okay, that's artistic. That can make you transition into product design and chief product officer, product user interface person. You see what I mean? The sky is the limit. There is no job that you cannot do as a teacher. Teaching is the best job. It is the best job. Training and teaching others, identifying the educational needs of others, developing formal educational or training programs or classes, and teaching or instructing others. So this we discussed in brief, but we are going to need a whole class for this. I'm talking about adult education. Identifying what these adult needs. Now, in the US, a lot of people, because children can get jobs at 18, a lot of children choose to leave their parents if their parents are not highly cultured, educated people whose primary loyalty has been towards their corporate job, not the family. Then the children feel neglected, or sometimes they're abused. They choose to leave the house at 18. This group of young people who are in the workforce from when they're 18, because their parenting or the family situation is very bad, who's educating them? It is the employer. The employer is the parent of the young workforce adult, or even the middle-aged workforce adult. And who's going to be teaching them? You. You teachers are going to be teaching them, because getting a somebody who is a PR person or an HR person or corporate education person, that is not going to, how does the teacher interact with the student and with the parent, right? And they have to get the parent to be the best parent possible so the student can have the best possible outcome, right? That job only the teacher understands. That's not understood by these other professionals. So you see what I mean? This particular teaching skill makes you suitable to become an adult education expert. A lot of these senior citizens, all they want is to know how to use a computer. You can have a lesson for them once a week for 6 weeks, show them how to assemble the systems in the computer, show them how to turn it on, what softwares they need to have, what they should know how to use the software. I mean, the sky is the limit to the income potential and to the expertise and the knowledge. Once you start doing that, then Microsoft will work with you and Google will work with you and they'll say, what can we do to help you? Then you say, okay, I'm teaching 100 old people every month or every 6 weeks. And out of the 100, 10 of them are very poor and cannot afford their own computer. Can you supply them with free computers? They will supply. So you start learning how to work collaboratively with the people whose services you're promoting, or you're not promoting consciously, but they're the only providers in that field. So the sky is not even the limit based on the skill sets that you have as a teacher. So establishing and maintaining interpersonal relationships, developing constructive and cooperative working relationships with others, and maintaining them over time. So what job outside of teaching do you think uses this the most? Give me an example. Human resources, right? In corporate environment. Human resources, this is exactly the human resources job description. So as a teacher, even if you have a little bit of this skill, right? Even if you've had a taste of this, an exposure of this, a corporation can hire you as a human resources person, and you can deliver all of this to them in addition to the main thing that they're looking for. So see, again, that's a teacher skill and requirement. So if you're a teacher, you will be doing this, even if it's on a small level. The only thing that they require is that you've been exposed to it at a small level, right? Then communicating with supervisors, peers, or subordinates, providing information to supervisors, co-workers, and subordinates by telephone, written form, email, or in person. What is a non-teaching job that uses this requirement or skill? Middle management, right? Middle management. They have supervisors and they have subordinates and they have co-workers, and communicating well to them. So you see how each of these skills and requirements in a teacher's job. So if you meet these requirements, obviously you're a teacher in the teaching profession, and therefore these are called transferable skills. Once you acquire these skills with some experience in the teaching profession, you can get into any profession that utilizes one skill that you may be particularly good at. So I'm going to briefly sort of run through this with an eye on the time. Developing objectives and strategies, like we said, CEOs do this. Other people do this too. Chief marketing officer might do this too. Chief product officer might do this too. Chief information officer might do this, right? Some other people may do this. Managers of different levels. So establishing long-range objectives, specifying the strategies and actions to achieve them, and then achieving them. Updating and using relevant knowledge. So keeping up to date technically and applying new knowledge to your job. So I'll give an example. I had in my own family, there was a gentleman by the name of Professor S.R. Swaminathan who taught English at Harvard. Very, very bright man. He went to Sagar University in Madhya Pradesh, I think in India, for undergrad. And then he did a PhD somewhere. And then he started teaching English at Harvard. His daughter went, Malati Ramaratnam, went to China to teach English. And then suddenly, from being an English teacher in China, one company, I think it was Hewlett Packard or one of these computer companies, hired her to write their training manuals. She was just an English teacher. They hired her to write their training manuals. So she had to write everything. So if you buy a Hewlett-Packard computer, how do you start? What do you do? How do you troubleshoot and solve these problems? So she talks to the technical people. She talks to the product development people. She talks to everybody. And then she creates a technical manual. And she's the one constantly updating it with any customer feedback and any upgrades that they do or updates that they do. So it's unbelievable how from the teaching profession you can jump to another profession. So I wouldn't call it entirely easily, but it's very simple to transition into a very high level corporate job from the teaching profession. Documenting and recording information, entering, transcribing, recording, storing, or maintaining information in written or electronic magnetic form. This job is done by paralegals. It's done by court legal, people who transcribe legal proceedings. It's done in so many situations, usually in the legal profession, documenting and recording information, right? Coaching and developing others, identifying the developmental needs of others, coaching, mentoring, and otherwise helping others to improve their knowledge or skills. This is what we've talked about for 6 months about healthcare coaching, but coaching can be into personal development, about identifying what somebody's blind spot is and helping them identify their blind spot and helping them grow. So yesterday I read something very, very interesting by Sadhguru ji, and he said, do you know what trust is? And he said, trust is not about controlling the other person and telling them, I will trust you if you be like this, if you do like this, if you behave like this, if you don't do this, if you don't listen to that music, if you don't see those kinds of things. Trust is about being okay with anything they do, because you know that they won't do anything that you will not be okay with. That's a flip side. So because you know that they won't do anything that you won't be okay with, that is, they're not going to do anything that will harm you or harm humanity or the planet or whatever. So you're okay with anything that they do. That's trust. So, that to me is a very, very profound development in my personal growth, to understand the actual meaning of trust, right? Being able to coach and develop others like he did. For me yesterday, he wasn't directing this to me personally, but there's a quantum improvement in my understanding of what really matters. What really matters, as long as somebody is not harming you or harming the planet or other human beings, be okay with what they are and just trust them. Be okay with who they are, what they're doing, and trust. And don't try to control and tell them you can't do this. If you don't do this, I'll trust you more. What is that? So coaching and developing others, making decisions and solving problems. Oh boy, this is a big one. Making decisions and solving problems. Isn't this what a CEO does? Isn't this what a chief operating officer does? Isn't this what an operations manager does, or director, or somebody that is below the middle manager? Yes, every day managers do these things. They make decisions, they solve problems, analyzing information and evaluating results to choose the best solution and solve problems, end the problem, right? So this part is actually diagnosis. Can teachers become doctors? Yes. Welcome to the medical profession, teachers. We want you as doctors. In the US, it's possible. After you do 4 years of bachelor's education in teaching, you can enter the medical profession. 4 years of doctor training, MD school. So diagnosing, so analyzing information, evaluating results. So you make the diagnosis, then you choose the best solution and you solve the problem for which the patient got admitted, right? So scheduling work and activities, scheduling events, programs, and activities, as well as the work of others. Again, supervisors, managers in every profession do this. Getting information, monitoring processes, materials, or surroundings, identifying objects, actions, and events, working with computers, analyzing data and information, interpreting the meaning of information for others. How important is this? These are the people who will work in fields like artificial intelligence and machine learning and all that. Translating and explaining what information means and how it can be used. Resolving conflicts and negotiating with others. This is in every profession. Coordinating the work and activities of others. Again, supervisory role. Assisting and caring for others. This is home health care, home nursing, elder care, child care, after hours school care, adult education care, adult healthcare education, adult financial education, adult relationships education, adult happiness education, right? Judging the qualities of objects, services, or people. This person can go into quality control because they help assess the value, importance, or quality of things or people. They can go into quality control. They can go into making sure that the standard of a product or a service or a regulation is of the highest category. They can work for the government, right? In writing laws. Communicating with people outside the organization. Evaluating information to determine compliance with standards. Again, this person will work in quality control, quality assurance. What else can they work in? To determine compliance with standards, they can be an education board. They can help set education policy. They can set any kind of policy. They can set manufacturing policies. They can set healthcare delivery policies because they're determining compliance with standards. Even if it's an education, this is a transferable skill that will work in any field in which they're dropped. Performing administrative activities, developing and building teams, guiding, directing, and motivating subordinates. Knowledge that is required. Psychology, right? It's a big part of the teaching profession. Totally unknown. Maybe they teach you in your BA/B.Ed course, some amount of psychology, I'm sure they teach. So, yes, thank you, Major Dr. Gulshan Sharma ji, for this opportunity, and thank you, Chitra ji. At this point, I think we will call a halt to it. This is only half of my slides. I have another 15 or so slides. So with your permission and blessing, we will continue this presentation next week. And we will also talk about the elder care requirements in the US and other aging countries globally, because this is a topic where there is an overlap between our healthcare coaching that we talked about and the teaching profession. And the hours can be tailored. Everything can be according to your preference and requirements. If it doesn't exist, you can set up the company. You can do it in India. And you can purchase your American citizenship. If you make $500,000, that's what it costs to come to America as a citizen. So you earn $500,000, give it to the American government, they will give you your citizen paper and you come to America. Okay, so I will show you how to do that. It's not, nothing is difficult. Anything is doable, possible if you put your mind to it. And we'll talk about about adult education, which is another huge and burgeoning topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
ma'am.
Thank you
very much.
Today's presentation was so enriching. And in fact, there is so much to know and so much to discuss and so much to learn from you. You are a reservoir and a fountain of a knowledge, and so much you work hard.
Thank you.
Ma'am, multitasking teachers, the theme what you have given is so appropriate. So we will continue with the remaining part of it next Sunday.
Sounds
and
good,
then
sir.
following
so
Sunday, we will take on adult education. That we would take on next following, because I think still you have to do a lot with the multitasking teachers, because we have to give them a package. We have to give them what all services it would be involved with, besides your hardcore academics, and how basically you can make your career globally. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Very kind of you.
Appreciate
you, sir. Tomorrow is Ashtami. Happy Ashtami tomorrow.
Happy Navratri.
And
thank you. Happy Ashtami.
Are getting over tomorrow. Tomorrow is Ashtami. And tomorrow morning, everybody is waiting for halwa, puri, and chana. Yeah. And small, the girl daughters, they all got to be tomorrow getting little pocket money, and they all wait for that. And thereafter, of course, we are having the Shahra, and then 20 days ahead, we have got Deepavali. So
wonderful. So excited.
Yeah. So these words, our culture, our heritage, our education, and helping the global humanity together with you, we convey our deep gratitude and thanks to you, ma'am. Thanks for coming.